Well, certainly, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You guys had a lot of success there, but also everyone's talking about, of course, with Pete. You obviously have a close relationship with him.
Sure.
That factor too. What makes this game so interesting for you?
Yeah, well, no, first of all, we're excited to be back in a bowl game, and I think we just had our banquet. Guys did a great job at that, so we got a chance to recognize a few players internally and some awards and different things that are important to us, and then obviously knowing where we're going to go. That's one of the things that we all want to know this time of year, where we playing, what's the plan. We got to start putting that together, and we've been in this game, so we have a little bit of a structure for how we want to practice and what we want to do. And then as far as the opponent, we know about Washington, obviously very good. There's an obvious storyline in this game, which the most important thing that we all have to consider and not overshadow the players that are actually going to play in the game, which is going to be the shame about if the story continues just to be about not the game and the players that are playing in it. So that'll be the focus. Be no different. Our mindset hasn't changed. We want to finish out the season 1-0, and we know where we're playing. We know when we're playing. We know who we get to play against, and then we focus on game planning for that and getting ready to go.
What is it? I don't know if awkward's the right word, but what is it feeling like playing in his last game? I think a lot of Boise State fans would have probably rooted for him to want to go off a winner, and then they see they're playing you guys, and obviously that changes.
I don't know if it's awkward. I mean, it is what it is, right? I think it's just part of the plan, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Craig and the commissioner. I don't know what those guys what they actually do. When it comes to things like this, I don't know what how they put it together. I don't know how they view those things. I don't think our opinions as coaches matter in situations like that. So, that's just, it is what it is. And the thing about it is, we're kind of, again, diverting away from the bowl game that we're playing in, right? I mean, we're playing against Washington. We're getting a chance to go play in a bowl game. We're going to try to finish out a season. We're 12-1, and we want to have another performance where we get to go out there and play our best football. That's really been the message the entire season. So, really to stay focused on that. That's what our players need to stay focused on. That's what we need to stay focused on. We always travel well at the Vegas Bowl, and that's one of the benefits. And I think this game will travel well. Boise fans being there, and I think it'll be a great matchup. I really do. Washington's very good, and I think our season has shown that we're very good, and that's kind of what you want to have in bowl games at the end of the year, are two good teams playing against each other. That's an exciting matchup. So as you look at the squads, and I don't know all that about Washington. I think, we know some of the things that they do. We've obviously worked with coaches on that staff, but you still have to dive into the game plan and start looking at, all right, what have they really done? And I don't think either side has been studying each other throughout the year like you would study a team that you're going to play. So they know, we know, we'll get back to work, and both staffs are going to be out recruiting. And that's one thing. We start recruiting, our guys are actually leaving today, so that becomes one of those advantages, disadvantages right now. We got 1 week to go out there and recruit, see all of our guys, have a weekend, which we'll be practicing over the weekend, and then we travel the next week, and we have signing day that Wednesday while we're down there. So both sides are going to be in Vegas having to prepare for signing day on that Wednesday and doing all those things. So it adds a lot of drama just in itself, just for the two teams, before you even add everything else that goes along with it, to what we have to accomplish just in our own programs to get done what we need to get done. So, I mean, overall, it's interesting. And, but at this point, I mean, really, I kind of walked over here from Jordan Ballroom, and as you kind of put this, not this season to bed, but you kind of go through the banquet and you do your thing that way, and you take a little bit of time to think about the bowl game and what you're going to do, and obviously the opponent and how we're going to prepare and things like that. I mean, it gets exciting because now that's in front of you. I always like playing in those earlier bowl games as well. When it falls around Christmas, that's something too we always consider, because we played in bowl games where you're gone for Christmas and things like that. So there's a lot of things in bowl games that factor in, and when you look at it kind of from the head coach position, you're always thinking about all those things. How does it benefit us? How does it hurt us? What does it do as far as giving us a chance to prepare properly, as far as the time goes, and how we're going to utilize it. So, that's where we are right now.
You guys had the banquet. you share any, like, the team awards or anything with us that you hand out?
Yeah, I don't have it. I had the list in front of me, and there was. We'll put all those out.
Okay.
You know who the team awards are and things like that. But it was, again, we talked about the captains. Each coach got a chance to talk about guys of their position, and really just recognize the body of work that our players did this year. And yesterday, at the end of the game, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of things that are swirling that you're trying to figure out for everybody. And you just put a lot of time into finishing and accomplishing something very big. But looking back on our team, the season, and what these guys had gone through to get to where they were last night and to win that game, I mean, this has been very enjoyable to be a part of, to say the least. And I think this 2019 team, the toughness, the discipline, all the things that we talk about, I mean, I think they displayed it. I really do. 12-1, and we didn't lose by much on the one that we didn't win. But that's how the seasons go, and very few teams, right, were undefeated in their conference. And to me, that says a lot about what we're able to get done this year, and that's credit to our coaches and our team.
You mentioned recruiting, and you go into next year very, very short at the quarterback position, and
Yeah.
you don't have anybody, at least as far as we know, committed yet. What is your approach to that position in recruiting for this year with how little you have coming back?
Well, we have to get guys, and we got to get guys that can play, and guys that are going to be able to play immediately, and then really based off the type of season that we had, right? You got your first, second, third guys all playing this season, so I think you learn something along the way. It goes back to what we talk about all the time, just the quality depth. How do we get that? How do we develop that? We certainly have to recruit it, and this year we'll have somebody. We'll have somebody recruited at that position. We'll have somebody signed, but I also feel like we do a good job of making sure we have the right guys in our program, and I think we're doing that not just at that position, but every position. You could look at other positions on our roster and be like, oof, that could be scary if we don't end up getting guys in there at that position. Now, we're going to get guys. It's just we need to get the right ones. That's really the key. So you don't want to rush into just bringing somebody up here that's not the right fit or isn't going to develop into the type of player that you want him to be. So I think with the second signing period, I think we've been pretty selective on how we want to go about it, and some of the guys that we're on, and maybe different than the first year in the early signing where everybody was trying to get to that. It doesn't seem as rushed this year where every player and team is like, we have to have our entire class signed by December. It's more of, let's get the guys that we need to get, all right, the guys that we want to have, and certainly this is our approach, and then make sure that, hey, we're sticking to the formula that we use, we trust it and believe it, and if that means we sign half or less or whatever, then we have the second signing period just to go out there and get the rest. And so I feel like it's just been a little bit different this year that way.
It's no secret that if you guys had your druthers, you'd be sitting here talking about the Cotton Bowl and stuff like that. Is there? I want to say it's bittersweet, but when the difference is from that to being in this, do you guys feel that at all?
It kind of is one of those things where it is what it is, right? And the reality of it is we can control all the games that we play in, and we can't control all the other teams and what they're doing. And the other teams that play, they're very good too, and they're deserving of being in that game as well. So, for us, I mean, that's at the end of the season, the goal is a championship, and then whatever happens after that, right? Now, along the way, if the other things fall in line, then there's opportunities for these other type of games. But the first year we were here, we're 12-2. We're playing in the Fiesta Bowl. We're 11-1, right, at the time? 11-2. Yeah, sure, 11-2. We're 12-1 now, and it's just right. It's one of those things. I mean, and then the years before that, when it was the BCS, you had to be perfect. So you're 13-0 or whatever it is, right, before you go into the game. So I don't have an answer for that anymore. It's an interesting process. I think there's some things along the way that certainly our conference and things that we probably have to look at that can be considered, that we have to do and do a better job of. And probably, as Boise State, I mean, I just got to consider our program only right now in opportunities like that, and certainly things that we can do better. We got to step up and promote or do whatever we have to do along the way. I mean, there's just factors that I don't think we should be doing it as coaches and players, but I think people that support our program or are part of our conference should be doing a better job of it. And, we got to go out there and play games. We got to coach games. That's what it comes down to. But when things like this season are happening, you'd sure like to see our university and our conference do the most they can to help put us in a position at the end of the year if everything else has been taken care of.
That said, I mean, the Vegas Bowl this year, they push it back to prime time, and it's ABC, and I think Kirk Herbstreit's doing the game. I mean, you're playing,
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I mean, you're
Okay.
doing a quality opponent like Washington.
Sure.
I mean, what kind of opportunity on the national stage is this for you guys?
Well, it's still, again, this is a big bowl game. I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean, we're playing Washington, Boise State and Washington, and like you said, where we're playing, and one of the best places to play too, really. I mean, the time of the game, time of year, and then the time slot and where it's at, as far as weather conditions, all those things like that. I mean, it's really one of the better bowl games when it's all said and done. And then I think the two opponents that are in it right now, I mean, there's a lot of things to really like about the two teams and the opportunities that both teams have. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you were kind of talking about the New Year's Six and all that, and we've been in those games before, and you have a season like we do, and it doesn't go that way, but you're playing down a great bowl game. That becomes the focus. And I'll be honest, for our players, they're getting ready to go play. That's what they're going to have in their heads. They're just getting ready to go play, and they want to finish this season, and they want to finish it the right way. And I think that determination showed up in our game last night and has this entire year. And so certainly these guys want to go out there and finish this year and do it the right way. And, that's one more game against Washington.
Going back to your last answer, is there something specific you'd like to see more of out of the conference or the university in terms of, winning the PR battle, I guess, against the American Conference?
Yeah, I think we have a brand here that it's not like everybody else. We didn't build this brand and put ourselves in the position that we're in today just to be like everybody else. I mean, that needs to be certainly promoted, in my opinion. And I say that because I've been here a long time and I've seen this place grow and develop there, and it's not the same old every year. I can't stand that mindset. I can't stand the mindset of just we just go out and just do our deal and things like that. I mean, you need to take a program like Boise State and promote it. All right, we do, conferences do, and I see other conferences do that, and I don't necessarily think that we do a great job of that, and I'd like to see it and do a better job of it. And certainly, I think those things need to be addressed, and I don't think we can just stay and keep doing the same thing that we've done every single year. That's not what we're about here. We talk about attacking, that's the mindset, and I think our comparisons to other teams needs to end, and we need to start growing and developing into the type of program that we want to be. Because you start looking at our schedule moving forward, everything changes, right? I mean, really, Boise State in the 2020 schedule is going to be completely different than any of you have ever been a part of, right? You got Florida State rolling in here, and you start looking at the teams we play from that point on. It's completely different than what we've been doing for a lot of years, right? And so, I mean, we need to be prepared for that. And over time, I mean, the last several years, we've kind of stayed at a certain position in certain areas, and it needs to change, and it needs to change now in order for us to stay competitive and to be in games at the end of the year where we have opportunities to play in New Year's Six bowl games or for championships. Things need to change, and it needs to happen now. I mean, we've talked about it for a long time, but it needs to happen now at this point, and our league and our entire university need to be a part of that.
When you go 12-1, your name's going to come up in all the coaching your names can get tossed out there and stuff like that. What is your approach to it, and are you at a situation where you can say if you're going to be here in 2020?
Yeah, well, let me say this. All that stuff that I think is out there, all right, that's just stuff, is what it is. I really don't have an answer for it. I mean, I think there's been nothing, and I would do nothing but focus on the game that we just played in. And, you know, the other thing, too, I mean, I guess my other answer to that, too, you know, I don't know if there's a lot of other people that bleed blue as much as I do. And, you know, that's important. You know, this place is important. We've built this, and I like to be a part of that, and I enjoy that, and I like to see where we have a chance to go. But at the same time, we have to continue to keep building. We have to keep growing, and settling or same old. That's not the mentality, and that's not what Boise State was ever built on. Was that type of mindset. And so if we decide that we want to settle, settling is not a place that I want to be. If we want to get better, then, you know, I'm all about that. If we want to grow and develop and put ourselves in a position where we can take that next step like we need to with the type of opponents that we're about to play moving forward, then, you know, those are the type of places you want to be a part of. So as long as we're always attacking, to me, that's the mindset. If we're just maintaining, then, you know, that's not anything anyone, all right, on this staff or this team has any kind of that mindset whatsoever and wants to be a part of that. So I'm hopeful that we continue to keep growing and developing, and this place continues to get better, and we find ways to do that, and certainly want to see that happen.